Farm to table, locally grown. You've heard all that before, but what about where our beverages come from? There's something new going on out there. It's called garden crafted or wild crafted cocktails. And we have a treat. We're gonna meet somebody known as #the Drink Whisperer. We are in beautiful, picturesque Allenbrook Farms in Spring Hill, Tennessee, a CSA farm, and we are here utilizing their fruits and their vegetables today to show you how to do garden crafted cocktails. I'm here with Zachary Helton, and he has been a bartender for over 18 years.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of little easy, simple cocktails, but where you can use fresh produce.
You always use your fresh fruits and vegetables
Everything.
and herbs.
If you're gonna eat fresh and drink healthy, I mean, I think that should all just play hand in hand. So the fresher mint, the fresh squeezed juice as well, it's all really, really important. You don't want to use anything fake if you can get away from it, and you make better drinks that way.
All right, Zachary, let's get started.
Awesome.
What are we gonna do first?
So being in the South, I think the first thing we should start with is a julep. So a little take on a julep that I'm going to do tonight is going to be a peach julep.
Yeah.
So I've made a local peach syrup, just equal parts peaches, sugar, and water. I've cooked that up right here. We're going to use some fresh mint from the farm as well. We have sourced a local bourbon from Leaper's Fork Distillery. So we're going to try to stay everything we can out here in Williamson County.
Okay.
So this is a beautiful 9-year-old bourbon from Leaper's Fork. It's called Hunter's Barrel Select. We're going to use this bourbon, peach syrup, mint, and a bunch of ice. That's going to be it. So to start off, classic julep always has your julep tins. So we've got one of those today. What we're going to do is crush a little bit of ice. Now you can always buy like bag ice that's already crushed, or if you want to show off a little bit, you can do it yourself. So that's what we'll do tonight. I've got some right over here.
Gotcha.
We're going to use. So we're going to take just your household muddler, whatever you might have, even maybe the back of a hammer.
Okay.
If you got one of those, if you don't have a muddler. I'm going to get this right in to the regular ice and start to crush it. You can see some people at bars will have what's called a Lewis bag and a big hammer and make a big show of this, where that's all fun when you're trying to be dramatic.
So while you're finishing crushing the ice, tell me about the muddling. What is the purpose of muddling?
So you're expressing either oils or the citrus out of whatever you might be muddling.
Okay.
So, you know, in this case, we're going to eventually muddle a little bit of mint, and all the flavor from the mint when you're doing it in cocktails is all going to come from the back of the leaves.
Okay.
So these little veins, we're actually wanting to express that oil out of there.
Okay.
And you don't really need to beat it up. Like literally just a little bit of tapping.
So you don't want to pulverize it.
Right, correct. Yeah, that's usually people's mistake where they'll get in and they do too much beating it up. It only takes a couple seconds. So we're gonna fill our julep tin up with ice. Pack that nice and in there. So your classic julep, when you're doing this one, you're barely gonna shake it, and you need a lot of mint. It's your main thing. A little bit of sugar and a whole lot of bourbon. Should make a really good julep.
So basically you're just stripping them off the main branch.
I am. So what you're gonna get from the main branch is gonna be a lot of bitterness.
Bitter.
Yeah, so you wanna keep that away. So we've got a good pile of mint here.
It smells good.
So about a good handful. And what you're gonna do, smash it, rub it together. It's gonna kinda express the oils. You can even smell it even more.
So you're just kind of speeding up the muddling.
Exactly. So that way, I'm really not wanting to bruise it. So if I can do it with my hands, it's even better.
Okay.
So a little bit of that. Next, you're gonna take your measuring tool. What we're gonna do is a 2-ounce pour of bourbon, which gives us about a 1/2 ounce of syrup. You can use simple syrup, just sugar water, or you can use peach syrup like I've done for a little bit more flavor. So we'll measure out syrup. So what I always tell people, the best thing to do at this point is to go ahead and muddle now before you put in the more expensive spirit. Because last thing you do is make a bad drink and make a mistake and you've wasted the liquor, then you gotta, still gonna be good because you're drinking it. But at least this way, like you know that at least you've got the sugar in that. So we're taking the same muddler that we used for the ice and just kind of tapping it.
Okay.
Like I'm not really putting my elbow into it, pretty much just a couple of fingers. Kind of pushing
that
it down.
oil out of there.
Yeah, exactly. So you got a nice little paste right there at the bottom. And then we just add bourbon and shake. and then shake it. About that long.
Okay.
Not long at all.
No.
Strain all your good stuff from your top shaker. Most places I've worked, we always prefer cleaner cocktails. And by that I mean, like, I don't want to have to dig things out of
So
my
you're going to
teeth.
strain it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're going to what's called double strain this, where we're using a Hawthorne strainer to start. Your typical strainer, you can get it almost anywhere for your cocktail sets. And then a nice little tea strainer.
Okay.
And that's going to catch everything else we need. And pour right into there. Over the crushed ice. So the next part is to pick you out a good piece of mint that looks really nice.
Make it pretty for the garnish.
Yeah, and you're going to do the same thing we did earlier, but this time you just kind of slap it on your hands. And then we're gonna stick this right into here. And then a lot of people don't really think about it, but actual placement of your straw is really important too.
Okay.
You know, if you're gonna go through all that and put the mint in there, you really wanna have the straw kind of right behind it, so that when people
Pretty
go to drink
picture.
it, their nose is right in front of the mint. So tell me what you think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome.
All right, Zach, we're ready for another cocktail. What are we going to make now?
So this one is one of my originals. I call it the Neon Nights.
Okay.
So everybody loves gin and cucumber. That's a really, really popular thing at most bars. People always ask for a little bit of that in their gin and tonic. People also ask, you know, if you're using fresh juice, and I don't want anything too sweet. So this is kind of exactly what I wanted to come up with, was a very herbaceous, light, fun cocktail. So this one, the Neon Nights, everything about it's going to be green. We're using English cucumbers.
Okay. Juicy, non-juicy, really ripe? Or,
Riper the better.
and do you prefer English cucumbers over regular?
I do. I think they give a good meatier texture to them. When you're breaking them down, and we're going to muddle them as well.
The seeds are smaller too.
They are, yeah. So you don't have too much that you're trying to strain away or keep really clean. But these are nice and crisp.
Okay.
So these are going to be really good today. We've got some good fresh mint as well. Fresh squeezed lime juice. We're doing a little bit of simple syrup. So we have a beautiful local gin. It's Heath Clark's dry gin. So this is actually made in Thompson Station out here in Williamson County. Heath's a good friend of mine. So this is a locally sourced and distilled gin in our county, which is really, really nice. It's a really nice high-end gin. You can find it locally all over Tennessee. He gets local juniper, a little bit of coriander in there, and you get small little citrus notes off it. So it's not a super aggressive gin. You know, a lot of people have bad experiences with gin. It's usually before they're allowed to actually legally drink.
Like drinking pine needles.
Yeah, exactly. Too much Christmas tree. This one's actually really light and refreshing, so it's not nearly as aggressive. The next one is a little something different. It's called green chartreuse.
Now, I had not heard of this before.
You should. It's amazing. As a bartender, this is easily one of my favorite spirits. So what you have is an herbal liqueur. It's 110 proof, so it does have a bite to it. It's actually made from Carthusian monks near the south of France. So they've been making this thing since 1605.
So is it bitter or sweet then?
It is
Savory, maybe?
bitter, herbal, and strong.
Okay.
So first we'll start with the English cucumber. We're gonna get, let's say, about 1.5 inches worth. So along with the cucumber, we're gonna be pairing that with some mint.
Okay, and again, you're
Nice.
stripping the branch and
Yep.
putting the leaves in.
Taking that bitter part off. We're gonna have a good amount of mint. We definitely wanna get some good flavor out of this. Same way, I'm gonna give it a little rub. And then I've got fresh squeezed lime juice that I did earlier today. What we're gonna do here is a 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice. So our intention here is to not make a sweet cocktail. So we're gonna do the lime, and we're gonna do the simple syrup first, like I said before with the julep. So do your citrus and do your sugars first with your fruit before you put it in your more expensive booze.
Okay.
On this one, we're only using 1/4 ounce of simple syrup. So I wanted it more tart. Not everybody likes sweet cocktails. So this one with the cucumber and the mint should give us enough sweetness. Then we're gonna grab your muddler. And this one, unlike the julep, you really gotta get in here.
Okay.
Use a little bit of elbow
gonna really
grease.
mush that
Yes,
baby.
ma'am. Yeah, you gotta get this all kind of nice and mixed up. Should make a nice little paste almost towards the bottom. And then so you've got it all kind of nice and mushed up together.
Here you go, Zach. Let's get that baby going.
Yeah. Now the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do this Heath Clark gin. We're gonna do 1 3/4 ounces of this. And then just a 1/2 ounce of the chartreuse. All right, now unlike the julep where we were putting it over crushed ice,
Yes.
This cocktail is actually gonna call for a little bit bigger ice. So what we're gonna do is put on some larger cubes of ice.
Mammo Jammo cubes.
Right. So, you know, the larger cubes, you'll see at a lot of cocktail bars where they're using these nowadays because little ice and big ice all melts at the same speed. So if I've got 2 big pieces of ice compared to a bunch of little ones, I've got less water in my
Okay,
drink.
that
so
makes
it's gonna
sense.
hold up for longer. So you can take your time drinking it.
Not to mention it looks better.
Yes, exactly. So then this one's a nice good shake. Don't want to waste anything.
No,
Get
sir.
it all in there. All right. So you're taking your Hawthorne strainer again and your tea strainer as
Okay.
a double strainer. Put it right over on top of your ice. Cucumber, gin, mint, chartreuse.
That's really good.
Should be nice and refreshing?
Yeah. Actually, it would be delicious on a warm day.
Yes.
Well, Zachary, I got to tell you, thank you so much for sharing your garden crafted cocktails. We are learning so much that there's more to do than cook with our vegetables and herbs and fruit. So thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel and like us on Facebook.